Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You can find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. Another episode of Another Perspective with my co-host Istvan Koptero. So, as always, we're going to tell you what we're going to discuss this week. But for those watching on Bitchat, YouTube, and Rumble, he's got a beautiful graphic. What do you miss? I missed the way I viewed the world before I knew too much about it, which I think a lot of people can relate to. News: Leeuwarden trial, UK police Pride March case, rape crisis, Irish population and migration, and glaciers make you cry. AI, mind-reading AI, checkmate the Matrix creating something positive. Phone reads brainwaves, and YouTube's official policy on AI-generated content. Good News Caravan, Jack Dorsey's new app, offline messaging without Wi-Fi data or SIM card. Injured pup changed his life, and MIT's passive water harvesting window panel. Health, fertility rate, what has been sprayed on organic food, and psilocybin and longevity. Inspiration, RF Quang Babel and robot fish that eats ocean plastic. So I suppose, what's this Leeuwarden trial about, Istvan?
Leeuwarden, you pronounce it, but that's a bit difficult for foreigners. Leeuwarden is a city in the northern part of the Netherlands, so that's why it's called the Leeuwarden trial. It was the official opening was July 8th, but obviously it will continue. And they call it the vaccine trial that could trigger Nuremberg 2.0. That's quite a statement. So what it is, it's a court case about the vaccine injuries, about the pandemic, about the corruption, about the elites under the microscope of justice. And the lawyers, I will get back to that in a minute, the lawyers, they have 146 pieces of evidence, including internal mails, autopsies, government contracts, and whistleblower testimonies. They have it submitted that the entire system knowingly endangered millions of lives and actually, probably killed millions of people. So the guys who are on trial is Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, Mark Rutte, in his capacity of being the former Dutch prime minister, he's now the hotshot in NATO. Ursula von der Leyen, she's the EU president. Bill Gates, and of course Klaus Schwab. They're all, well, in the stand. Yeah, so it like that. Yeah. This case has been started by a Dutch lawyer, and obviously there are a lot of people involved. And the Dutch lawyer's name is Arno van Kessel. And obviously, when you start a legal case against, well, these global people, they won't like you. So what happened approximately a month ago, Arno van Kessel was arrested. They came with a big squad in his house and they treated him like he was a serial killer, and they for hours searched his house and took all the stuff out of his house, and they took him into a prison, not just any prison. They took him into, how do you call it, the maximum security prison in the southern parts of the country, which is not nice for his family because they live in the northern parts of the country. But they put him like in a prisoner in thing where only very, very high level criminals are. That, you might say, oh yeah, well, that's the risk. But by being in prison, he cannot execute his job because he's a lawyer, so he cannot do it in prison, so he cannot make any money. It appeared that just before he was arrested, he had bought a new house, and because he bought a new house, his wife had canceled her job to cater for that or whatever. So now he has a wife and kids and no income. And it's your father, your husband, who they put in trial, and they put you in the maximum security prison hundreds of kilometers away from where you are. So it's really ugly how he's being treated, but he's like, I think, one of the most courageous guys around. And the interesting thing, well, of course, there was our first day and thing because his colleague in attorney took over the case, but this is not just any case. It's a really, really big case. Yeah. And what happened is that Bill Gates obviously tried to escape justice, and he said, Dutch law has no jurisdiction over me, so it's, yeah, I'm out. But already the court rejects his attempt, so he's got to stand trial in that case. So this is I would say, a ongoing case, and I will report more on that when things get known. But it's already starting to get very ugly if you're a courageous lawyer or attorney, lawyer, whatever name, from the Netherlands, Arno van Kessel. Now they started an action like to give him some money because the guys have no income. Yeah, because their father and their husband who's supposed to bring in the money is in jail. Yeah? And he's treated like a serial killer. So it's like, it's really terrible because he's not the serial killer, though other people on trial are. So this is what's happening in the very famous city of Leeuwarden.
And I mean, that's how they win this. That's how they always do it. They take out the competition. They take out anyone that's trying to ruin what they're doing in life. I mean, this is happening all the time. I mean, if it was the Clintons, he'd have been dead. But it's scary that he's doing. And I think the only way that you can do things like that is have about 100 people in your corner, that you've got so much backup that everybody's got the information. And that's hard to do because I know that for myself. So every time you try to put something together, people will talk and battle. And as soon as you say, all right, let's go, they turn around and walk away. So I'm not sure how many other people are in his corner that actually have all the documentation, can get this moving, because if they don't let him out, I mean, this case needs to be heard. So yeah, I look forward to hearing the update and hopefully you get out.
Absolutely.
So yes, I mean, we never discuss what we're going to talk about each other. We just put it together prior to the recording, so you don't know what I'm going to say. So another court case just happens to be the way that it's organized. A UK High Court case ruled that police officers breached their duty of impartiality by marching in uniform at a pride event. The case was brought by a gender-critical activist who argued that police participation in Pride, especially under progressive Pride flag, could be seen as endorsing a political stance amid ongoing debates about gender identity. The court agreed, stating that police must not only be impartial, but also be seen as impartial. As a result, Northumberland Police and other UK forces have been ordered to ban uniformed officers from participating in pride marches and similar events. The judgment emphasised that displaying symbols like the pride or trans flag while in your uniform was unlawful, and it risked undermining public confidence in police neutrality. The decision has led police changes across UK police forces and sparked debate with LGBTQ plus groups expressing concern that it could harm relations with the police, while others argue it is necessary to maintain trust in police impartiality. And I mean, anytime I see that, I just shake my head. I think it's disgusting that you're doing that. And why do they have to do that? Why do they have to have all the marches? Even in general, why must there be so many months and so many days kind of set aside for this? But that's positive. That's a nice outcome that I like to see.
Yeah, you should have put it on the good news caravan, yeah?
So
It's in sharp contrast to the rape crisis in England and Wales, but not only in England and Wales, it's also in Sweden. Actually, it was an article from a guy, well, he's using the name Peter Sweden. He is very good information, by the way. And I think he lives in Sweden. And he said that the statistics were 2024, so that's last year. And there was in Sweden, it's a huge country, but very tiny population. It said it had a whopping 10,167 reported rapes in the year 2024. That's a new record high and a 7% increase from 2023. But he compared it also with 2015. So 10 years ago, it's a 68% increase in rapes in Sweden. In Sweden, of all countries. Eh? But he also included the numbers from England and Wales. Hence, I put the picture from a rape crisis in England and Wales, which is actually much worse because in England and Wales, there are 117 reported rapes per 100,000 people, and in Sweden, 96 reported rapes per 100,000 people. Folks, I read them as statistics, as numbers, but if you are involved, in one way or the other, it's ugly, it's terrible, it's one of the worst things can happen, I think. Yeah? So these numbers are incredible. These numbers are increasing at look, I would say an exponential rate. So this is really terrible. But it can also be different, although our news from a few weeks ago, which Roy shared from Poland, does not indicate that, but the official numbers for Poland is 1.5 reported rape per 100,000 people. So it's, well, Eastern Europe is, well, 1.5 is still shit, but it looked much, much better compared to 117 and 96. So why is this happening? And again, there's so many people involved. It's the victim, it's family members, it's friends, it's everybody. So it truly is a rape crisis, and I think it's stopped.
the actual thing is, you could probably multiply that by 3 or even 10 because so many people don't report it. One, because they know that they become like the victim. They don't want to go in court and be displayed. They get cross-examined and everything. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, especially when it's underage, there's corrupt judges, corrupt police that are into paedophilia and everything, and they actually represent the criminals as opposed to the victims. And that's becoming public knowledge, and people are just not even reporting it, which is even worse.
Those numbers are totally incredible.
So, like, this is kind of related as well, because a lot of times this happens. So the Irish population reached in 22 5.149 million, the first time over 5 million since 1850. So we had like the so-called Irish famine, which I believe was another lie as well, based on some information that I'd come across. It was like genocide by the British, taking all the food and just starving the people, burning their roots and letting them starve, and that's why a lot of people emigrated as well. Migration impact is the main driver for recent population increases. In the year 24, it hit 149, 17-year high with 69,900 immigrants, resulting in a net migration of 73. I mean, like, there's a lot leaving because they're not feeling safe. The country is loads of like, we're talking about the rape and all, like, I'm seeing cases constantly now in Ireland and hearing people, and it's more local journalists, people that have creating their own channel that's getting the information out. The RTE is the Irish kind of equivalent to BBC. They'll never say anything. You know, there's very few that are actually exposing what's going on that. But like they've opened the doors. There's all hotels that are just kind of filled with immigrants that are all men, and they're just destroying the place. And even some of them, they're like tent cities or they're in parks with kids. So you're looking at this thinking, oh, the population is increasing, it's great. People are terrified. And now they're protesting outside of these centres where they're bringing in the people and, you know, even damaging equipment and everything. But it's like a lot of people think, unless it changes fast, Ireland is gone. Because they're just coming in. They're getting all these freebies. Now there's people going in. UK as well, I've seen a lot of videos where they're going in and just showing all the benefits that they're getting. Yet when it's the Irish or the English and when there's a crisis and they can't afford their mortgage, they're thrown out in the street, they're giving nothing. And yet they're bringing in all these people just to destroy the country. So that's just kind of showing that you might think, oh, that's positive. The Irish population is increasing. It's not increasing for the better.
Actually, it was even last week when I'm Dutch, but currently living in Romania. And one of the first questions with people who are truly interested, and they ask me, is it because of the migration? And so, yeah, so it's, well, I'm in favor of migration, but the good type, not the type where they send in, these soldiers here will become in the military and in the police and everything else. And, you cannot go save in the streets. In the Netherlands, I'm a big guy, but I don't want to go out at night in my city center because it's not safe. Yeah, so that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, so these things are happening, and not for the good, absolutely. Glaciers make you cry. Why did I put it here in news? I would like people to understand that, of course, we share a lot on this show as well, that humans are suffering. We can have pain, we can suffer in all kinds of different ways, but it's also nature which suffers. The trees, plants, weeds, flowers, everything is also suffering. We think it's basically, a lot of people think it's that material, so it doesn't suffer. It does. There have been sound recordings from a wheat crop just before the knives of the machine get before it, and you hear a cry of pain. Yeah? I heard sounds of forests, of trees in pain and everything around it. So please, people, understand that nature is also a living organism, and a living organism can also have pain and can also suffer. This is an example where a guy is proving that for a glacier. A glacier is a natural phenomenon. It's a living organism, and it's a French sound artist called Ludwig Berger, who he has placed all kinds of microphones on this glacier at various spots, and where you can hear this glacier is melting. It's melting. It's melting. It's melting. And it truly, when you listen to the sound, so I encourage you to do that. There's a whole movie around it. You got to pay for it, but at this side you can have short bursts about the sound. It really looks like it's crying. It really does. But it doesn't make sense because it's a living organism which is kind of disappearing. It's getting too hot. It's disappearing. Whatever. So he has put microphones in that glacier, and you hear these sounds, really awful sounds. Yeah, but it's suffering. It's suffering from the glacier. So that's why I'm sharing this today with you. Is like, understand that every life form can and is also suffering. Yeah? So it's not only us humans or animals. Well, people don't even know that animals, like the way we slaughter pigs and cows and everything else, or we sometimes treat our dogs, or really all these animals, plant, trees, glaciers have feelings. Yeah. So that's why I'm sharing this.
And I've heard of that before. I heard of grass that with the frequency it heard it crying, like that when the grass is being cut. Yeah. Oh, you can help the show. We're spending, I suppose, more than 10 hours each, if not more, preparing this because we're in different groups. We're reading books, we're listening to podcasts, we get loads of stuff sent to us. So we're reviewing a load of different things, and you then have to delve deeper. And all we ask is that, you get Istvan, an orange juice, or me coffee or a beer or whatever. And once a month, that's all. $5 maybe if you can do $1, and it's always going to be free, and it's a model based on songness. So if you can't afford it, it's those that can will help the show keep going. I've got different ways of paying. You can go to Patreon, PayPal, Ko-fi, or buy me a coffee, and you go to awakeningpodcast.org/support, and it really helps us because we really put a lot of time into this. AI, mind-reading AI.
Yeah, there was a article that scientists created an AI called Centaur that can predict human behavior across any psychological experiment with unprecedented accuracy. The AI outperformed decades-old specialized models and successfully predicted behavior in completely new scenarios it never seen before. The Centaur's internal workings, the internal working of the tool, became more aligned with human brain activity just by learning to predict our choices and potentially revolutionizing our understanding of cognition. Well, that's a nice way of phrasing it, but basically means that if the AI can predict our behavior, it'll see how it will impact the whole advertising industry and the commercial industry and everything around that. Yeah, so I think it's really shocking. Yeah, is that they because they can predict it, they know what they should do to influence you in a certain way. Yeah, so this is already the state of the AI, and I think we have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, so I mean, even with all the different things, people talk about something next to getting the ad for it. And, even kind of WhatsApp and stuff, I've seen that's supposed to be encrypted. It's a lie. But the fact that you go into this, it's a lot worse than we think. But next one is kind of a bit positive. So I do a monthly call with Peter Wilson, and he's really kind of common law, sovereign, the natural law. And he's got like a school, a classroom with all different stuff. And part of it, what he's incorporating for this is an AI. And it's not like, because I've mentioned it a few times when I kind of go on AI, it's pushing in an agenda. And that's dangerous. And then there's a lot of people regurgitating that, which sometimes is based on, I mean, we know Microsoft own a lot of ChatGPT. So most people are using that. And I don't know.
And they own OpenAI.
Yeah. So, this, they're pushing their own agenda. I've seen it so many times. There's different AIs that have just kicked me out. And it's like, what these guys are doing, and they've got big people behind it. And it was like sometimes you kind of lose faith in humanity and you think we're doomed, and then something gives you a spark of inspiration and it gets you back on track. And this would be one of them. There's a load of books, and I mean, I've got a lot of them there, like Black Law's Dictionary, and there's Boulevards and different ones like that. They're putting all the right information into their AI, and it's not searching the web. And people can then use it. So it's originally kind of GDPR and things like that. And if you get a letter, but they're working on more and more stuff. So they have plans that will help people. So even eventually, like I was talking to them, that we're hoping that even loads of people lost their houses through corruption and everything, or even trust, how to protect yourself. So eventually there'll be a load of different ones that are going to be done for specific, like council tax, all this stuff, all fraudulent stuff. And the information will be put in so that you go, hey, I got this letter, or hey, I got this. And it'll tell you exactly how to do it based on the actual documentation that will work in law in courts. And I think that's definitely positive, because you can go away and you can search this on the internet. You can do an AI, open AI kind of thing, and it'll give you totally different wrong information, because there's a lot of people out there trying to get you in trouble. This won't. So this is something that you should keep your eye on. And I put the link in the actual show notes as well, where you can actually go in and do it. There's a lot of stuff that's free, but I think he's like $50 a month or something like that for all the different things that he's got. But I've seen a lot of the classes that he's got in his platform with the community, and people charge thousands for the information he's given out, and he's got lots of stuff like that that's free. So it's worth checking out.
But that is focused on the English legal system, correct?
Well, not necessarily, because GDPR works in Europe. So I was talking about that. So even a load of it will actually work internationally. And even if you look at kind of the common law, Ireland falls under that, Canada, Australia, but it's not even about that. There's a lot of stuff that will work internationally, but the GDPR side of things will work in Europe, because Europe falls under that.
Okay. I'm going back to because the heading is like, can AI help with mind reading or whatever? I saw a tweet from Christiana van Wijk. She's the director of Iconic Media, and the post is that she spotted some mold in her shower, which most likely we all have that experience. And she said, within 5 minutes, ads started popping up on my phone about how to deal with shower mold. And she said, I didn't say anything. I only thought it is like, hey, there's mold. I need to do something about it. Yeah. And she says now it happens on a daily basis. So her conclusion is that our phones now are reading our brain waves. And she asked if anyone can please debunk my theory, please do so. Well, I read the comments, and the comment was that many, many more people have this experience. So it's starting to become, well, the quote, big brother is watching you is totally come alive if your phone is able to read your brain waves. I think it's extremely frightening.
And the thing as well is with Wi-Fi, because they can even tell with Wi-Fi where people are in the house and how many people are in the house, and I'm sure they can do that as well, and that's all. So they have access to that. So even if you don't have the phone, the Wi-Fi probably does the exact same thing. So the YouTube policy on AI generated content, YouTube still allows creators to use AI for video, voiceovers, and editing. Monetization is permitted as long as the content is original, creative, and shows significant human input. The main concern is with mass-produced, low-effort, and repetitive AI content, which may be demonetized. In 2025, YouTube clarified its rules targeting inauthentic content, such as fully automated videos or those using only AI voiceover, stock footage. These types of channels risk losing monetization or being removed from the partner program. However, thoughtful value-added AI-assisted content remains eligible for ads. Creators must disclose when their videos use AI-generated or synthetic elements, especially if they could be mistaken for real. YouTube uses both technology and human review to identify such content. YouTube's focus is to reward genuine creative work and protect the platform from being flooded with low-quality automated videos. AI is welcomed as a tool, but not as a replacement from originality. And I mean, I've seen a load of that lately. Like, there's people putting out all these videos that isn't a human, and they're just kind of, when someone sees something's working, they're just putting it out themselves, and they're using a different voice or something like that. and you're being bombarded with all these things, and then content creators are competing with that. And because I've done 17, nearly 1,700 interviews at this stage. And when I'm researching, I'm always checking their social media and everything. And you could see somebody had massive numbers before. You say somebody was getting average 5,000 or even 30,000, 50,000. No, 20 and 30, because there's so many people they're competing with, but most of them are like that. So I'm hoping that this will kick out a lot of the guys that aren't even being creative. They're just copying, and then hopefully the other platforms will continue, because what you're doing is you're putting money in the hands of genuine content creators, people that use their creative minds and put effort into it, instead of the plagiarism where people just copy and they go, oh, this is getting massive views, I'll just blast it out as well and make good money from it. So I think it's a positive thing.
I am very necessary, but it's also like, by the day I see messages of new video generating apps where you just have to type in 3 sentences or speak in it with the, I want a video about Ronnie and Isfan talking about AI and they're very worried. Bam, you have a video. Huh? These apps are, well, I don't know. I guess they're launched maybe hundreds each week. It's terrible, because it's like and these videos look really good. They don't look like amateur. They look very professional. Yeah? So it makes it so easy for people. They don't even have to type. They put their voice. By voice, they can give a command like create a video about this and this and this. It's becoming terrible. Yeah. So it's like we're being flooded with all the videos, and people are just lazy putting in the stuff. And the people who put in the real work, like Ronnie and ourselves and many, many other people who put in beautiful, well, I know months and months of work to create a certain video, and they're just blasted away by a dude who just have a 5-minute prompt into an AI generated video. That is ugly, huh?
And I just saw it today, actually, because everything in the last couple of days is this guy that was unfaithful at a Coldplay concert where he has his hand around another woman. But the one I saw today it was Donald Trump with his hands around Hillary Clinton, and it looks so real. And you're going, like, if you didn't know, like, there's people would actually believe that, because that's the problem. There's people creating content and it's so good. Then they're thinking something is real, and then they're sharing it, and then people believe somebody's saying it without even seeing it. And that's how all lies get spread around the place.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, good news, Caravan. It chat, or as somebody said to me before, when I wanted them to use Bitchat. I'm not using that because it says bitch, so it's like Bitchat, but it's Bitchat. So you know, right? Is a recently launched messaging app from Jack Dorsey. He's the co-founder of Twitter and Block. The app enables users to send encrypted messages without Wi-Fi, mobile data, or a SIM card by using Bluetooth mesh networking. This technology allows messages to hop from device to device, creating a decentralized peer-to-peer network that works even when traditional communications infrastructure is down or unavailable. It was launched in early July 25 and is already available for download in some regions. The app does not require a phone number or email to register, prioritizing privacy and security for its users. It uses Bluetooth mesh networking, which means each device acts as a node, relaying messages across the network. This allows communication over longer distances, as messages can pass across multiple devices, not just within those within direct Bluetooth range. All messages are end-to-end encryption, and the app does not rely on centralized servers, further enhancing privacy. while there has not yet been major government pushback, because I was kind of seen as there's some pushback, so hence why I was looking at that. The app enables anonymous, untraceable communication, offering often attract regulatory scrutiny due to concerns for misuse. The privacy features and lack of resilience in traditional networks will prompt further regulatory attention. In terms of competition, it stands out from establishing messaging apps like WhatsApp and Signal by offering true offline infrastructure messaging, which could push competitors to innovate in other directions. It's promising. Can we trust this guy? I haven't a clue. I mean, what he's done. But the fact that you don't have to give a phone number or an email, most of the stuff that they're saying, like Telegram and all these things, WhatsApp, that are encrypted and turn out not to be, is this something that might be? But it sounds promising anyway.
For the guys watching, you're looking at a young Indian man with a dog on his bicycle. It's really a nice story. It's like an injured pup on a highway changed his youth life forever, and together they've cycled across 15 states. Now, you might say 15 states is not so much if you're from the Netherlands, but if you cycle 15 states in India, it's huge. Yeah, so that's what he'd been doing, because he would cycle everywhere, and then he would find, well, I've been to India a couple of times. If you've been in the traffic there, it's totally unbelievable. It's like if you have a bi-directional motorway, they're really big trucks coming at you, because otherwise they miss a gas station or whatever. It's totally crazy. Yeah. So apparently what happens is a lot of animals who cross the street, well, like dogs, they get run over. And he had been helping a lot of dogs who get injured. He took them off the street, helped them, and then he moved on. He did the same with his dog. But so this dog was injured. He took care of it, and then he continued his cycling. But the dog ran after him and didn't want him to go. So now they are a pair riding across India, and they're really they're big friends. So that's a nice thing to show if you're helping a dog or any other animal which is injured. And now there's a young man who has a friend on his adventures cycling across India. So I think that's a beautiful thing, because now he's not lonely. They're, well, you can see from the picture, they're really good friends.
And last week you mentioned about the loneliness and everything, and I encourage people, if you're lonely, get an animal. If you like cats, get a cat. If you like a dog, get a dog. And it gives you a reason for living, and the love that they give you back, because they appreciate it. So
Yeah, and now it's holiday time. Don't put them out in the woods or somewhere else, because this is unfortunately still happening. I even read that people who have goldfish, they flush it down the toilet because they go on holiday. That is, well, it's not nice for the fish, but it also ruins the water. It like, folks, please. I'm coming back about the glaciers and the nature and animals. They all have feelings. They all have emotion. They all feel these things. So if you just put it on a rope in the forest or whatever and say goodbye for 3 weeks on holiday, these animals have feelings. It's the same thing if you put your brother on a rope in the middle of the forest.
well, I tried, but my mother stopped me.
Look, really, please, if every life form on this planet has feelings and emotions, so please consider that. Have compassion.
My ex-wife, she got a dog with her son, so I have equal custody. And the dog that they got was from an animal's home, and it had been tied in the forest, and you could see the dog as trauma. And that's the thing. People, when they have trauma, they can go and get help, or they can try breathwork. There's a lot of things they can do. there's very few that are helping the animals. And you could see that the dog was like, no, it's feeling safer now. But still, even when it came to my house, it would just stay by the door. It wouldn't roam a house like a normal dog. It took so long for it to feel comfortable to go around. And it's horrible to see. And I know that goes on wholesale across the world. And yeah, shame on those that ever do things like that.
But this young man on his bicycle, they're really a good pair.
So MIT's water harvesting window panel. The device is a panel made from specialized hydrogel that absorbs water vapor from the air, even in very dry desert conditions. At night, the hydrogel captures moisture. During the day, sunlight causes the water to evaporate and condenses on the inside of a glass panel where it collects as drinkable water. The design uses a cooling foam and dome-shaped hydrogel structure to maximize efficiency. Unlike other water harvesting technology, because I see a load of stuff on this, like this, you constantly see people that are creating things like this. This panel operates entirely without electricity or batteries, making it ideal for off-grid or resource-limited areas. In field tests in Dead Valley, the driest region in North America, the panel produced 57 to 161.5 milliliters of water per day, even at low humidity. The addition of glycerol to the hydrogel prevents salt from contaminating the collected water, ensuring it is safe to drink. The technology is scalable, multiple panels can supply enough water for a household. It offers a sustainable, decentralized solution for water-scarce regions with applications in home agriculture and disaster relief. Another positive thing.
That is really beautiful. I've seen before like things where they put something on the like on the motorway. You get it, the big signs is like for Los Angeles go left, or New York go right, whatever, and where they collect the water and whatever. He's like, there's apparently so much water in the air which we don't notice at all. If you just have to collect it, it's there. And even this, well, it doesn't look very big, but it's like, yeah, like I said, if you can put it on your balcony or in your back garden or whatever, it's great. Yeah.
Like, even if I look at that now, because I was involved with property for a long time. And in Spain, there's regions in Spain that the water wasn't available. And at one stage, the city was bringing tanks of water there and they stopped doing it. So you've like this parts that are just nobody living there. Well, beautiful houses that had pools and everything. Why not just put them things in it and bring life back to it?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Fertility rate. What's going on?
Yeah, I found this graphic last week, and it shows the fertility rate in Europe. Well, you can see most of it is red, and red means a low rate or an extremely low rate, which means that it is below the replacement rate. The replacement rate is 2.0. It's like you need, yeah, as a couple, as a woman, you need 2 children to keep the population at the same level. Huh? But if you look here, even what is it called? Orange is, which is in France and I think it's Hungary and Bulgaria. It's still an insufficient rate. I think there's one part in green which says it's 1.9, so that's close to it. There might be something like Macedonia or something like that in that area, but the rest of Europe is like totally red, which means the population will decline, which supports what Roy is saying multiple times, is that we start seriously doubting where they say is like the population is growing, growing, growing. That might just not be the case. Yeah? And if you look at Europe, it's like it's declining, yeah? And it's declining rapidly.
The thing is, with all of these migrants that they're bringing in, it looks a lot of the time that it's for votes, because I've seen kind of recordings of that in Ireland where they were caught doing that. A lot of the people coming in, the Muslims are coming in, they're having 10 kids, they're getting all freebies for everything. So they're increasing the population, and they're kind of saying that's what it's for. When you look at the crime rates based on that, on what they're doing, it's a hard one, because they're saying, oh, they want to reduce the population. If you look at all the different things, and then you look at that, you would say, oh, that's in line with what they're doing. But I have seen it. Like years ago, when we were young, you'd see loads of people, loads of babies, loads of kids, and people now don't want to have kids. And is it because the world has gone so crazy that it's like not safe, that you're going, I don't want kids in this world? Like, I was having a conversation with my mum yesterday, and it was like, she used to be terrified of us going to school. She said, I'd make sure you go in and all this. I said, can you imagine if it was no? Like, it was safe then. I mean, there was always a little bit of something, but it was never like, so people now are terrified, which in turn prevents people from being out playing and connecting, being with nature. They're stuck at home because the parents are thinking, I want you safe, but they're really creating them lonely, which goes back to what we talked about earlier on last week.
Yeah, well, you can say it's like that's why it's so important that people learn the skill of connecting dots.
Well,
Right?
this is one no, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it. I saw a Starmer going, oh, we're going to reduce the voting to 16-year-olds. And everyone is given different opinions. But one of the things that kind of frightens me, most of the kids of the populations that are growing, that are having the 10 kids, are all of these immigrants that came in and having loads of kids. When they start voting, you already see the mayor of Birmingham, Leeds, Manchester, London are all Muslim. That's going to just increase. And it looks like in New York as well, the guy that's kind of going to probably win. So they're just taking over. I mean, I've got Muslim friends. I'm not against Muslims, but I have something against people that come in and don't want to do anything for a living. When you look at what they've done to society, are they actually contributing? Like we've said earlier, there's plenty of decent doctors come in, plenty of decent nurses, other trades that come in, work hard, deserve what they get for it. But when the sponges, and that's what's happening, and now I think that with the 16, and if that passes, then they'll push that across Europe. They're basically then allowing more people to vote in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I saw recently. I'm living in Romania. I talked on the show about, I would say, the fraud in the election process. But now there's some kind of I think it like it was approved that Romania would get 1 billion euro from the EU, but they had to allow or agree with a law which says that next year they need to allow a lot of migrants into the country, which previously they didn't. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why things are really good in this country. But next year, you can forget about it. All the migrants will flush into this country. And that's because, well, they wanted to have the 1 billion, but the 1 billion came with a prerequisite, which is mean you got to allow migration. So it's happening everywhere.
Back to our buddy Gates, who, yeah, he's involved in everything that's not good for humanity, with blocking out the sun, with, the jib jabs. That's what he's done in Africa and India as well as internationally. So apeel, science backed by Gates and other investors, makes a plant-based edible coating for fruits and vegetables. This coating is not a traditional pesticide, but is designed to extend the shelf life of produce by reducing moisture loss and slowing oxidation, which helps cut down on food waste. The main ingredients are mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, substances commonly found in many foods and considered safe by the FDA. I've read a lot of books on things by the FDA. do not think that something that's passed by the FDA is good. Usually the people that work for the FDA end up working for Pfizer's and all the other things. So that doesn't mean that it's safe. The coating is approved for use on some organic produce by USDA, provided it meets organic standards. Regulatory agencies like the FDA and USDA have found the main ingredients safe, and there is no credible scientific evidence that the coating poses health or environmental risks. However, some consumers and advocacy groups are concerned about transparency and whether such coatings fit the spirit of organic farming. This is the scary one. The apeel science does not publicly disclose its full list of ingredients, citing proprietary trade secrets. Only a small fraction, 0.7% of the ingredients are made public, which has led to concerns about transparency, especially for people with allergies and sensitivities. The main known ingredients are what I mentioned earlier, which is generally recognized as safe, but it's like there's use of plant extracts, gluten, and natural plant polymer, and solvents such as ethanol, methanol, and water in the preparation of the coating. Like ethanol is used for alcohol, so it's that in itself. I don't know, every single thing he touches. But the fact that they're like, oh, we're not disclosing this because it's proprietary, that's got alarm bells red all over it. So how can something be organic when they're spraying something on it? So all I would say is, if you're watching on Bitchat, YouTube, Rumble, or Spotify, look at their logo, and when you're buying produce, just pick it up and just put it back. Do not buy any of his stuff, because you're not going to be looking after your health.
Well, they even might put the mRNA vaccine in it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that is happening. I did a few months ago. It was not a test, but it happened to be like that. I had bought a cauliflower on the farmer's market, which is absolutely organic, and I didn't have it in the fridge. I had it on my thing, and just within a few days, it started to get some mold on it or whatever. And then I was talking to a friend, and he mentioned that he had bought a packet of pre-cut cauliflower things, and he had put it in his refrigerator, but he had forgotten about it. And it was weeks and weeks later, and it still looked perfectly okay. Whereas I bought something which was totally organic. Already after a few days, you could see the mold. That means is like his product must have been full with all kinds of chemicals, yeah, to make it look like really super or whatever. But it's basically what you're eating is poison. Huh?
A friend of mine, when she was in university, she said that she was staying in the accommodation of the school place where they and she had grapes in the cupboard, and she forgot about them. And when she came back after the summer break, they were still there. And she said they look perfect. She ate them there. She tasted them. She said they tasted the exact same. Like, that shouldn't happen. And that's the norm. It's either like, no, because we talk about blueberries before, and I know that you like the blueberries. So my son really likes blueberries, so I get them from. And it's a case of, if you don't eat them straight away, they're like disgusting the next day, which isn't good either, because they're irradiating them. They're doing all. But I've got ones now from a farmer recently, and they're not going like that. They're lovely. I'm enjoying them, and they don't go off. And I mean, you get them as well, because we talk separately on that, and yours aren't going off within a day, are they?
No. Well, I eat them within a week, but after a week, they look like totally fresh. Yeah, so, yeah. Psilocybin. Psilocybin is a mushroom. It's a active component in psychedelic mushrooms. You see your
Like magic mushrooms, is it? Is that what that's about?
there's magic mushroom, but there have been researchers from Baylor College of Medicine and Emory University who found significant anti-aging properties, extending human cell lifespan by up to 57% in laboratory studies. 57% of your cells surviving it. That's totally incredible. And improving survival rates in aged mice by 30% compared to untreated controls. So I think it's a very important thing that, in this case, psilocybin, these nature products have a lot of positive things. There are many trials going on because in many countries it's still illegal to use it, but it's not. There are trials in many famous universities to help people with PTSD, anxiety, addictions, whatever. Huge positive results, yeah. And now apparently it also has it promotes healthy aging. So um I think it's, you could already say, because I think it was in the 50s that they made it illegal. Why did they made it illegal? Because they want to promote the big pharma shit. And so it's like, these are natural product. Well, they're not innocent product. They're very impactful product, but they help you with your health. That's why they made it illegal. And so, but again, it's like these products have properties. They can help you with trauma, whatever. But in this case, about aging, the main population in any hospital, whatever, are elderly people, and everything are what they call, aging diseases. But if this can have a 57% of the lifespan of your cells and a 30% in your survival rate, I think these products should become totally available, and of course in a controlled way and everything around it. But this is much better than all the existing medicine.
So if you see us next week, like we look like we're in our 30s, you know what we've been doing. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Inspiration.
Yeah, I just finished reading this book. It's called Babel, by an author, a lady called R.F. Kuang, and it really interesting. Well, I think most of us know about the Tower of Babel, where languages and the world started. That's why they created it. Why she created it, and it's a history. It's historical fiction, so it combines fiction, the story in the book, but a lot of things about living on the campus in Oxford and how that was in the 19th century. So really amazing. Really totally amazing. There's something about silver working, whatever. That's totally made up. But the thing which is not made up is what has still is and is the influence of language and language skills on empires, empire building, and everything around it. Is that what she describes is that a lot of, in this case, Chinese speaking, whatever, people were brought into Oxford because they wanted to have, because they had their native, let's say, Chinese, and they got English. So that means they got more power, because if you speak the language and everything, you got the power. So as part of empires these days, well, look at the before it was the British Empire, now it's the American Empire. It's all English. Yeah? So it's forcing everybody else to do that. Yeah? In my case, I'm speaking English to you, but it's not my mother tongue. Yeah? So that puts me already at a disadvantage to other people. Yeah? And that's what people in the colonialism and everything, they're pushing their language. And this book describes how that works and how the influences and how it also kind of denies the background of these people, because, well, they were from China, Iran, and all these other countries, but they're like, well, you should forget about it. You should do this. So this is all described in this book, Babel by R.F. Kuang. Highly recommend.
Excellent. Interesting. So, robot fish that eat plastic. They're biometric robots designed to mimic real fish movements, allowing them to efficiently swim through water and collect plastic debris, especially microplastics. They use special materials that attract and absorb microplastics and are equipped with sensors and machine learning to identify and target plastic materials. Some coordinating groups, like schools of fish, to cover larger areas. Pilot projects show robot fish can collect significant amount of microplastics and are being treated in real world environments. They also have potential for environmental monitoring, gathering data on water, air quality and pollution. Current challenges include battery life. I've seen one where they're kind of talking about that the plastic is actually feeding it. It's able to use it to give it the energy and things like that. So there's a few of them doing it.
Plastic becomes the fuel.
Yes, yeah.
That's super, because then it can keep on going.
Exactly. So, but the other side of it then is it's like, what happens if, I don't know what size they are, right? But if a whale eats it, or if a shark or other fish that eat it, which I'm sure they will, because they think it's a bit of food for themselves. But if we look at the plastics that are, I mean, you can see divers, when they're recording things like that, and it's disgusting to watch. So I know there's boats going out there and everything, but if they can do something that's, because I know that there's a lot of different companies that are doing this, but if they can do it in a safe way or something that kind of scares away competitors, or like sharks and things, because they could probably do that with a frequency, maybe, I don't know. But
I was thinking about that immediately, like some sound frequency which frightens them or something.
Exactly. But I mean, if they're able to get rid of all the plastics, which is, as we can see, it's disgusting.
Do you have any idea how big this is?
I have graphics on the thing, but I don't have the dimensions at hand. But there's a few of them. There's a lot of different companies that are actually working on that. So
that's super. That's really super.
So yeah, that's basically straight away. If you can give thumbs up, 5-star rating, and share with your friends, that's the first thing that we ask you to do, because it really helps. We're really censored, and if you're in a WhatsApp group, Telegram group, or any of these, or maybe new Bitchat, the Bitchat, share it, and as we discussed earlier, look, Patreon, buy me a coffee. Just a few bucks. It really helps. There's a lot of time spent, and plus we've got ongoing costs with all the Zoom and different things. There's so many different things that are needed to keep this running. So if you can afford $1, $5 a month, that's all we say. And you can go to awakeningpodcast.org/support. And if you're a company and you want a shout out, we can do that as well. Until next week, take care.